Welcome to Reflections. This week, we are challenged, along with the disciples, to maintain our faith in Jesus, even during the most difficult of storms. Enjoy. A reading from Mark's Gospel. On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great gale arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that the boat was already being swamped. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. He said to them, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey?" Here ends the reading. Have you ever been in a dangerous situation on a boat and feared for your life? I have. I worked on the SS African Lightning, traveling between New York and Cape Town, South Africa, almost 50 years ago. As an ordinary seaman, or the lowest rank on deck, I did menial tasks, mostly paperwork when near ports or painting the ship while at sea. But one day the bosun said that he and I were going to put a pump in the bow of the ship where there was a slight leak. I remember carrying hose as he carried the pump down 3 long iron ladders to get to the bottom of the ship. Next, we went toward the bow and began climbing through narrow metal circles that structurally supported the entire hull. As we approached the bow, the sound got louder and louder until the noise was so loud we couldn't communicate except with hand gestures. As the crashing waves hit a deafening level, we continued to climb through narrower and narrower chambers. All the while, the boat was pitching up at least 20 feet for several seconds, and then down 20 feet for an equal amount of time, over and over. We carried flashlights that were less and less helpful as our passageways got smaller and darker. I have never in my life had so much adrenaline pumping in my body, and I feared for my life. The sound and the rapid movement of tons of water just beyond my body and thick steel plating, while in a tight space, was horrifying. And there was water in the tiny compartments we were squeezing into. While we successfully accomplished our goal that day, I will never forget my fear. And I can easily imagine what the disciples felt and thought on the turbulent Sea of Galilee as Jesus slept. He was sleeping, and the disciples might perish with him in the storm. Raw fear is a difficult space in which to be peaceful or still or faithful. Survival can push you to the brink where rational thought flies out the window, or in this case, out of the boat. The story is, I think, a reminder that we need to have faith in Jesus in our most challenging storms, in our most fear-filled moments. Is your faith strong enough to overcome your fears? Can you wash out the cacophony of wind and wave noise and ignore the buildup of water? Is your boat sinking? Don't we all feel that in the past year and a half our lives have been in a partially swamped boat with the wind and water pounding louder and louder? Everything seems backwards and out of sorts. We have been in turbulent seas, and many have felt that they were capsizing. But Jesus says, "Peace, be still." While he says this to the wind and the waves and they follow suit, he is, I think, speaking to us. Only when we find peace in our lives, by honoring the Sabbath and by learning meditation and contemplative spirituality, can we eliminate our fears and build our faith. This week, I recommend a bigger dose of contemplative time if your seas are still rough. Find a favorite couch or chair in a quiet place and recite the Lord's Prayer softly. And then work to shut down your mind to all thought. Listen for the sound of your heartbeat, ideally for 5 minutes or more. End by imagining and welcoming Jesus into a doorway of your beating heart. And let him rest there for a few more minutes. I hope that this week, any rough storms in your life or fears in your heart will subside, and that your faith in Jesus Christ will shine forth like a big, bright sun after the storm. Amen. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. My pop song this weekend is Natalie Pearson's version of a famous song about walking through a storm. It's entitled, "You'll Never Walk Alone." Enjoy.